Hello everyone, good morning. Myself Muralidhar Reddy. I'm a DevOps consultant and solution architect. Now we are going to discussing about what is JFrog Artifactory. Let's say that so that you will get some idea. So for that one, right here we have a DevOps 0 to Hero series, day 12 JFrog Artifactory, and here I already written the documentation as well. Okay, fine. First, we need to be understand what is JFrog Artifactory, where exactly will we use it, everything. JFrog Artifact is a universal repository manager. It helps teams to store, manage, and distribute software artifacts and dependencies. If you remember, in Maven, we have generated jar or war file, right? So instead of storing that particular jar or war file in your local, what we can do, we can store it in the remote repository. Example, JFrog. And also we have other artifact tool like Nexus also. But in our case, currently we are discussing JFrog part. Understand, right? And one more thing, remember guys, this particular inside the JFrog Artifactory in real time will be store artifacts and also is there any dependencies. Example, if you have a multiple microservices, okay, one microservice, there is some dependency of the specific jar file. What we can do instead of downloading from a remote repository, what developer will do, right? They will be generate the specific jar file and then they will be push to internal repository, that is a local repository as a remote repository. There will be storage. From there, they will be inside the example. If they are using Java-based application, inside the pom.xml, they will be called the particular jar file. Instead of downloading from central repository, what we can do, we can store it in the remote repository, that is either Nexus or JFrog. From there, they will be downloaded. Okay, whenever they build that one, right, it will be downloaded from remote repository only. Understand, right? Fine. It supports multiple packages formats. Example, Maven, Gradle, Helm, Docker. There are multiple, making easier central hub for both the DevOps and CI/CD pipeline. And Artifactory integrates seamlessly with the build tools. We can directly integrate with the build tool. As I said, if we have any dependencies jar file, it is available in the JFrog. What we can do inside the pom.xml, we can call that particular JFrog as well. And with build tools and CI/CD platforms and also security scanners to ensure efficient and secure software delivery. Understand, right? You understand, right? What exactly JFrog, where exactly will be used. And coming to the key features, one is Universal Repository Manager. It supports Maven, NPM, PyPL, Docker, NuGet, Ruby. There are multiple Go. There are multiple repositories. It will be support when you go with the open paid versions instead of open source. But it is support the multiple repositories. Understand it? It means I can store the jar or war file related to Maven. I can store the Docker images. I can store related NPM, Node.js related one, whatever. I can store it anything. And on-premises and cloud options, it supports both on-premises and cloud options. It means like we can install the self-hosted one or we can use the SaaS-based one. It means JFrog Cloud as well. We can use that particular one. But coming to that, in real time, 99% of the organizations will be use self-hosted only. The reason we won't be not trust, we won't be store our jar files in the JFrog Cloud. Instead of what we can do, we can install that JFrog in that self-hosted one. It means we will be takes one of the server. There will be install the JFrog. And then if you are using instead of using open source, if you are using any enterprise one, what we can do, we will get one token, one ID. That particular ID will be defined inside the JFrog. Understand, right? Fine. And coming to the advanced security and compliance, it includes vulnerability scanning with JFrog X-ray. So remember one thing, guys, we do have JFrog X-ray for vulnerability scanning, but it is available only Pro and Enterprise versions. Whenever you are using open source, right, it won't be available that particular one. Understand, right? Fine. Next one, high availability and scalability. It is supports clustering and replication for large scale deployments as well. Example, some of the organization, they may require high availability, right? Then what you can do, in this particular JFrog, we do have set up the clustering option. One is reader, multiple readers, and one is writer. Depends on, we can configure that one. And the next one, integration with the DevOps tools. We can easily work with the Jenkins, GitHub, GitLab, Kubernetes, other CI/CD tools as well. This particular JFrog. Understand it? These are the major key features available. And coming to the default port number, here usually we have a two port numbers, guys. One is 8081, 8082. 8081 earlier versions like WebUI REST API access, but usually in the latest versions, this is deprecated. Currently, whenever you are installing any Jenkins, any JFrog, right? So you have to be enable the port number that is 8082, that is JFrog platform access, including Artifactory, X-Ray, and also other JFrog services. It is a port number same only. Clear, right? Any questions now? Any question? These are the default port number, that is 8082, 8081. And in case if you want to be change the port number, yes, we can change it as well. It is not constant. These are the default one. Okay. And coming to the current LTS version, the latest version is 7.11. Okay, that is the LTS version is JFrog Artifactory 7x version. Usually depends on our requirement, depends on our Java-based applications or Node.js, .NET applications. Depends on that one, we'll be choose the specific version. The reason, right? Example, if you use the latest JFrog version, but your Java applications are Java 8, it may not be support much in the JFrog. Then what you can do, right? Whenever you're trying to push your jar file or war file to the JFrog, it may get that compatibility issue. That's why we have to be check existing our applications. Depends on that one, we will be choose the specific JFrog Artifactory. Again, I'm repeating, this is the some of the use cases, it may compatibility issues. It is not 100% sure we'll get that compatibility issues. Just I'm telling. Okay, clear, right? Fine. And next one, coming to the system requirements. Example, you are trying to install, you are planning to install the JFrog. So what are the requirement with what are the system requirement? One is minimum we require 4 GB RAM. Highly recommend 8 GB for production level. And CPU, 2 CPUs required, multi-core process required, and the disk space, right, depends on our whatever we are going to store it. Minimum we require 100 GB. Okay, but it depends on that. It may use that more GB as well. How many artifacts you are going to store it in the artifacts. Okay, understand it? Fine. And coming to the plans and pricing parts, as I said, right, there are multiple plans, not only JFrog, guys. Any tool will be having that both open source and also paid one as well. Now here you can see that one is Artifactory OSS open source, and it is free and open source, and majorly suitable for small teams and open source projects as well. Small teams and open source projects. It supports Maven, Gradle, IVY package formats. These are the things it will be support when you go with the open source. And coming to the Artifactory Pro, and we do have like it will be start with $98 per month. Okay, depends on deployment size, everything, and also it supports Docker, Helm, NPM, NuGet. There are multiple things it will be support. It means, again, I'm repeating, guys. It means we can store the Docker related images when you go with the Artifactory Pro. But in the Artifactory OSS, it won't be support the to storing the Docker images in the JFrog. Understand, right? Fine. Now next one is Artifactory Enterprise. It is also start with $700 per month. Depends on deployments, our requirement, it will be changed, and it will include the high availability and multi-site replication, security compliance as well in this particular Artifactory Enterprise. And it is majorly designed for large enterprises and mission critical workloads. So especially if you have any critical workloads, right? Then we can go with this particular Artifactory Enterprise one. And also we do have Artifactory Cloud, as I said, right? It will be support on premises, means self-managed one, and also cloud as well. Especially it is hosted by JFrog in either AWS, GCP, or Azure, and it is offers pay-as-you-go model only. Example, whenever you are installing the particular JFrog, right? So until it is running, they will be charged. Once you terminate it, it won't be charged. And it is ideal for teams that prefer managed solutions. In case if you require managed solutions, what you can do, you can go with this particular Artifactory Cloud, that is SaaS. Any questions now? So, and here you have to remember whatever I said, the pricing part, everything. Please have a look JFrog Artifactory website to get up-to-date content. Okay, what exactly pricing, everything. Here you can see that this is our versions related one. If you go here, JFrog download one, and here you can see that the latest version is 7.111.4. Okay, recently they have released it 1 month back, and here you can see that it is support using Helm command. We can install the JFrog, and also it will be support the RPM, Debian, Docker, and this particular Docker Compose as well, Linux, Windows. There are multiple ways to we can install the JFrog as well. Again, I'm repeating, we won't be install the latest version. Please don't tell in the real time. We install the latest version. We are using the latest version JFrog. If you say like that, right, they can easy to know, okay, this person is not working the real time. The reason in real time, we won't be install the latest version. We always use go with little bit older versions. Understand, right? Any questions? So this is the what is that? What you can call it as versions related. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go jfrog.com. This is our official website, and here you can see that pricing as well. If you go with the pricing, right, as I said, we do have Pro, Enterprise X, Enterprise Plus as well. Depends on use cases. Here they will be give a little bit features. Our based on project to project requirement, they will be choose whether they required what is that? They can go with the self-managed one, host one. Depends on the required. They'll be go with either they will be go with whether they required what is that open source, or they will be go with the pro or enterprise, whatever. But again, I'm repeating, 99.99% of the organization, they won't be use the open source. The reason I'm telling, in open source, it may not be support what they are required in the real time. That's why we always go with the paid one only. As I said, we do have this different one, Artifactory Pro, Enterprise, Cloud. Okay, depends on organization to project to project. They'll be either go with Artifact Pro or they will be either go with Artifact Enterprise. Here again, I'm repeating, don't tell in interview level, we are using that to open source. If you say open source, they can easy to know, okay, this person is not working the real time. Okay, the reason in case if your organization having that Node.js applications, okay, you wanted to store npm related one, then what you can do, right? In open source, it won't be support, right? That's why we always go with the Artifactory Pro only. Example I'm telling. This is one of the use cases. Clear? Any questions now? And also, I hope you saw that this documentation as well, right? This is our official documentation, and pricing also we saw that. Yeah. Any questions now? Again, I'm repeating, in currently most of the organizations, when it comes to that Artifactory tool, 99% of the organizations are using JFrog compared to Nexus, but highly recommend try to learn both. The reason if they ask in the interview level, have you worked on Nexus? Have you worked on JFrog? You have to be tell. That's why I will highly recommend you to learn both Nexus and JFrog. That's process is same only. Only difference is two different companies build that particular one. Clear, right? Any questions now? Now we are going to discussing about installing JFrog on Linux server. Let's see the demo so that you will get some idea. For that one, you can go here. Here we have a techworldwithmurali DevOps real-time project bootcamp, and then you can come down a little bit, and here you can see the tools installation steps. Now you can select this one, and then you can come down a little bit. Here we can see the JFrog. Okay. Now you can click the JFrog, and here I have written that README file. First step is we are going to install the JFrog. The next step is how do we integrate the PostgreSQL with JFrog. Then how do we access our JFrog using DNS name instead of IP address. Okay, clear, right? Fine. Now you can click this one, and then here I have mentioned everything. What we are going to do, you need required root privileges, sudo privileges, and also you need to create the 2 CPUs and 4 GB memory at least. And also we are going to create the server JFrog in the Amazon Linux 2023 with minimum 200 GB EBS value. Minimum 200 GB EBS value. Now what you can do, you can go to that EC2. Now you can type it here EC2. First we can create the server, and then we can go step by step. Okay, clear, right? And one more thing, remember, yeah, let me create this, create the server here. Launch instance, and then here I'm going to mention the JFrog server. Okay, now you can come down a little bit. Here you can select Amazon Linux, and here you need to select that Amazon Linux 2023. Remember, currently most of the organizations are using Amazon Linux too, but we are going to practice the Amazon Linux 2023. Inside the Amazon Linux 2023, we are going to install the JFrog. Okay, clear, right? Fine. Now you can click this one. and then you can come down a little bit. And here, most important, when you install that JFrog t2.micro, it won't be work. Then what you have to do, you need to choose at least t2.medium. Okay, t2.medium, 2 CPUs, 4 GB RAM. Now you can select this one. Fine. Now here we need to attach the key pair. I'm going to attach the infra key pair. Now you can come down. Here, most important, guys, any tool, not only JFrog, any DevOps tools, what we will do, we will be having in real time, we will be having separate VPC, separate account. Then we can, example, we can call it as the infra account. There will be install all the DevOps related tools. From there, we'll be set up the connectivity between environments like dev, test, QA, UAT, pre-prod. From here, we'll be having that everything, right? Example, I have installed the Jenkins, I have installed the JFrog. If you are deploying into the dev environment, so what is happening, right? We have already connectivity from the infra account will be deployed. Okay, example, if you take the Jenkins, okay, fine. Here, what we did, I already created the infra VPC. The infra VPC CAD range is 10.70.0.0/16. Okay, clear, right? Fine. Here, one of the most important, whether you really worked or not, how the setup is happening, they may ask interview level, hey, Murli, how do you where exactly your JFrog is installed? We have a different VPC. Okay, example, infra VPC. There we have installed all the DevOps related tools. From there, we have set up that connectivity between dev, test, QA, UAT, pre-prod. We have to tell like that. And the second thing, where exactly which subnet you have created the JFrog. Remember, when you are practicing, you may mention that public subnet. You may mention that public subnet and you have created the JFrog. But the reality, in the real time, we will be create the JFrog in the app subnets. App subnet is nothing but that is also a private subnet only. Okay, same thing. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create in the app subnets. You may ask question, Murli, here you are creating the app subnet, but this is a private, right? How do you connect? For that one, I already set up the client VPN, so I can able to connect it. But in case if you are not aware this client VPN setup, please have a look our AWS course in our Techworld with Murali website and also YouTube, so that you will get some idea. Okay, clear, right? But in case if you don't have a client VPN, you can go with the public one. But in my case, I'm going to create in the app subnet. As I said, I'm going to show you everything in the real time. That's why I'm creating the app subnet. Okay, and here if you see here, when you select the app subnet, here you can see that auto public IP is disabled. It won't be created public IP. Okay, next I'm going to create that JFrog JFrog-LZ. Okay. Okay, JFrog-LZ, and then description also I'm mentioning here. As you are aware, I earlier discussed the port number is 8081, 8082 you have to be enabled in the EC2 level. First of all, I'm enabling SSL. Here, instead of giving that anywhere, what we have to do, you have to give the customized one. Okay. Remember, if you say like I have mentioned that 0.0, they can easily identify, okay, this person is not working the real time. Real time, we won't give the 0.0. If you give the 0.0, immediately you will get the notification. Then you have to justify why you have enabled the port name, that particular CAD range. Okay, understand that? Now what I'm going to do, I already having that client VPN, my client VPN, everything in the 10 series. That's why I'm going to give it the 10.0.0/8. If you see here, this is our range. But when you are practicing, if you want, you can give 0.0, that is fine. In case if you don't have a client VPN setup in your system, then what you can do, just you can give the 0.0. Okay, but in my case I have, right, that's why I have mentioned this one. And also I'm going to add the two more port numbers, that is 8081. Same thing, this is also customized one, 10.0.0/8. Okay, and then I'm going to add it another one, 8082. Okay, when you hit that 8081, it will be automatically redirected to 8082. That's why we have to be enable both 8081 and 8082. Okay, and then here you can add it. And here, most important, here you need to define that at least 200 GB. So I'm going to mention the 200 GB. Once our practice is completed, we will be destroyed. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to launch the instance. Okay, any questions here? Again, I'm repeating, if you don't have client VPN, please create in the public subnet. That is the default VPC also you can create. the main thing when the practicing, you may think like we always create in the default VPC. The reality, no, default VPC, we won't be use it in the real time. We always having the customized VPC. Example, we are having that infra VPC. If you see here, if you go here in the VPC level, I can show you. Meanwhile, the server is creating. Meanwhile, if you see here, here you can see that in the go to the your here you can see, right, 10.70, that is infra VPC. Okay, and also we do have different subnets related to infra. So we always create in the app subnets only. App or data and private subnets are all are private only, but we'll be segregate. Database related will be stored in the data subnets. We'll be creating the data subnets. Similar to application related, we'll be creating the app subnets. The particular DevOps tools also will be creating the app subnets only. Okay, clear, fine, super. Now this part is clear, right? Any questions? And the next one, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect this server, expand this. Oh, okay, copy this one. This is a app subnet, right? That's why it won't be assigned the public IP. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to give it ssh-i. What is the PEM file? Info.pem. And then username, user @, and then you can give it the particular private IP. Now you can enter. Let's see. If you see here, it is asking yes or no. Now you can give the yes. Now it will be log into the particular server. Okay, understand, right? Here again, I'm repeating. Here we gave that private IP. Even the private IP you are able to access. The reason I have connected the client VPN. That's why. Okay, understand, right? Sudo su -. Fine. Now we have connected. Well and good. Now what you have to do? Before going to install, you should be understand what are the types of JFrogs available. Here we have a different types. One is OSS, open source. Second one is Pro and Pro X, and also Enterprise X as well. In the real time, we won't be use mostly open source. We always go with either Pro, Pro X, or Enterprise X. The reason open source, it won't be give them more features. But when you're practicing, that is fine. You can we can go ahead and install the OSS, and we can practice and we can complete that one. But in the real time, always we'll go with either Pro, Pro X, or Enterprise X only. Okay. In the interview level also, you have to tell, hey, we have used Pro or Pro X. Don't tell we used the open source. If you say like we use open source JFrog, they immediately ask the question, hey, right, you said JFrog we can integrate with Active Directory, but open source it won't be support, right? Example I'm telling. This type of question they will ask. But in the real time, we always go with either any one of these one. Enterprise Plus also we have. Okay, clear, right? Fine. But in our practice purpose, we are going to be install it in the open source only. Fine. Now we can go to the documentation, and here we can see that this is our download. We are going to download the JFrog Artifactory, and this is our release page as well. Now you can click this one. Here we can see that what are the versions we have. If you see here from 6.17.42, and here we have a 7.98.9. Okay, understand that this is the latest version. But in our case, we are going to be install the 7.59.9. We are going to be install the 7.59.9. And one more thing, remember, in the real time, don't tell we use the latest version. In the real time, we won't use the latest version. We always go with the a little bit older version. The reason latest version, it may not be work as we expected for our applications. That's why I always recommend little bit older version. So that's why I'm going to install the 7.59.9. Okay, 7.59.9. I'm going to be installing. Okay, now you can click this one. If you click this one, here we can see that what type of operating system you are going to be installed, where you are going to be installing. Okay, here we can see that whether Linux or whether Windows. If it is a Linux, what you have to do, just right click, copy link address. Now it will be copy the particular link. Okay, clear, right? Same thing I have mentioned here. I'm using wget command to download that particular one. That is the tar.gz file. Okay, now what I'm going to do, you can go here. I'm going to the opt directory. Okay, and then can give the wget. Okay, and then you can copy here, go here. You can copy this one. Okay, now you can paste here. Now enter. Remember, this is around 700 MB. So it is downloading. It may take a little bit time to download. Once it is download, right, what you have to do, we need to untar it using tar command. We need to untar it using tar-xvf command. If you go here, ll command, here we can see that it was downloaded. Okay, super, awesome. Now what you have to do, we need to untar it. Then what you have to do, you can use tar-xvf. X is nothing but extract, V is nothing but verbose, F is nothing but forcefully or file, whatever. Okay. Now you can give it here, JFrog, forcefully. F is nothing but forcefully. Just enter. Now if you see here, it is extracting all. Okay. We have it 700 MB, right? It may take a little bit time to extract everything. Okay. Fine. It is still going on. Okay. Now if you see here, give the ll command, and here we can see that it was extracted. This is our main folder directly. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to rename this one using mv command, mv Artifactory. Okay, then you can give the Artifactory. Okay, understand that? mv command and then Artifactory, the specific one, Artifactory. Now we can enter here. Let's see. If you see here ll command, now here we can see that the specific folder directly we have renamed it. Okay, clear, right? Any questions here? Fine. Now what you can do, this part is clear, well and good. We have extracted and also renamed it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to explain what are the options available here inside this particular Artifactory directory. Now you can go here. Now you can give it ll command. Now here we can see that we have two directories. One is app directory, second one is var directory. Now we can go with app directory. Inside the app directory, we have a different folders, different directories. Okay, our in this particular JFrog, right, it is having the front end, metadata, observability, router, third party. There are multiple available, but main thing is it is Artifactory. Now I am going to the Artifactory as well. Now you can give the ll command. If you see here inside the Artifactory, we have a Tomcat. Remember this particular whatever JFrog, it is backend is running in the Tomcat only. Okay, inside the Tomcat only we have deployed this particular Artifactory. Okay, understand that? Here we can see that config directory, lib, temp directory, web apps. If you go with web apps, right, you can go with web apps, and here we can see that web application, that is a var file, artifactory.var, and also axis.var we have. Okay, clear, right? Any questions? This is our what is that? Artifactory var file is available in the inside that OPT Artifactory, app directory, Artifactory, Tomcat. Inside the Tomcat, we have a web apps. There it is available. Okay, now I can come back. Now I can give it here. Can come back one step back. And also you can go to the bin directory. And in the bin directory, we have a .sh file. If you want to be stored, if you want to be manage your Artifactory, you can use this command. Okay, use this script to run it. Okay, artifactory.sh. There are multiple things available here. Okay, fine, super. Now you can come back once, and here this is fine. Remember, we won't be touch this remaining part, event from front end, observability, router, third party. We won't be much changes, do the changes here. Okay, fine. Now you can come back one step, and this is one of the most important in the var directory. We have a different files, but currently you're not seeing much. The reason we haven't started, right? That's why we don't have much folders available here, directories available here. Once we start, I will be show you what are the directories available. Okay, so that you will get some idea. Okay, clear, right? Fine. Now we need to start it. There are two options. You can go to the bin directory and we can start and stop, right? But instead of do that one, what we can do, we can set up the service level. We can set up the service level. Where we need to set up? That we need to set up in the etc system day system, etc system day system artifactory.service. We are going to create this artifactory.service. There we are mentioning everything. If you see here, description, after, and type is forking, username, which user it is running, whether it is running in the root user, whether it is running the Artifactory, wherever we need to be mentioned that. And next one, execute start, where we need to do OPT Artifactory app. In the bin directory, we have a artifactory.sh file. There we are starting. Same thing, execute stop means if you want to be stop, right, systemctl stop, right, this particular file will be execute. Okay, understand, right? And also if you want to be restart, execute reload, here we can mention that OPT Artifactory app artifactory.sh restart. Okay, understand that? As I said earlier, inside that app directory only, we have a bin directory. There we have a sh file. Using this sh file, directly you can go there and we can start and stop it. Second option, we are going to set up in the service level. Highly recommend we always set up the service level instead of going to the bin directory and start or stop the service, the particular tool. Okay, clear, right? Now here we timeout is timeout second is 600 seconds, and then restart on failure. That is fine. Now you can give it here. Now what I'm going to do? Now you can copy this one. Now I'm going to open this file. Okay, inside that, remember not only JFrog. If you remember, we saw that in the Sonar Cube as well, in the same etc system, the system only, we have set up that service. There we have mentioned same thing only. Only changes is execute start, this path will be changed for depends on tool. Okay, fine. Now we can paste here. Yeah, now we have done it. Now I'm going to save it. Okay, now I'm going to insert that etc systemd system. Now I can give the ll command. If you see here, this particular artifact service, currently we have only read write. We don't have execute permissions. Now I'm going to change it to execute permissions. For that one, you can give it chmod 777 artifactory.service. Now you can give it here ll command. If you see here, this is our thing. Okay, clear, right? Any questions now? Now we have done that service level. First thing, once you've done the service level, you need to enable that particular service. Why do we need to enable it? Let's take an example. If you're not enable it, if someone is rebooted this particular server, what will happen? Again, you need to log into this particular server, JFrog server, and then there you need to be start again your service. But if you set up that enable that particular service, even though someone is reboot the server, restart the server, or start the server, automatically the service will be up and running. Okay, you don't require to manually go to server and log into the server and start or stop the service. Okay, clear, right? Now what you can do, now you can copy this one, systemctl enable artifactory.service. Now what I'm going to do, systemctl. First I'm checking the status. Let's see. Status artifactory. Now if you see here, currently it is showing that inactive. Okay, fine. Now first step, what I said, systemctl enable artifactory.service. Okay, now you can enter. If you see here, when you run this enable command, okay, enable this command, what is happening? It is creating the symbolic link. Okay, now if someone is rebooted also, it will automatically up. That is fine. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start this particular one, systemctl start artifactory. Okay, now we can enter here. Now if you see here, it is starting our artifactory as well. Remember, it may take little bit time to start because it needs to be load all the applications, routers related one, everything. That's why it may take little bit time. We have to wait a couple of seconds, couple of minutes as well sometimes. Okay, now I'm checking here, systemctl status artifactory. Now if you see here, it is showing that active running state only, 18 seconds back. Everything looks good. I don't see any errors as well. Here we can see that Tomcat also started. Okay, now you can give the control C, it will be cancel it. Now you can go here. This part is clear. Any questions now? Now we need to check the logs whether it is going smoothly or not. How do we check it? For that one, you can go to the OPT, and inside the OPT only, right? We have installed that artifactory. Go to the artifactory. Okay, inside the artifactory, you can give it. Here we can see that var directory. Go to the var directory, and then you can give the ll command. And here we can see that log directory. Earlier we haven't seen much for directories, right? But after we started, here we can see that. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to check it in the log directory because I want to check it in, check the logs, right? That's why go here in the logs, and here we can see that everything. Okay, first thing what you have to do, you need to check the console logs. If you check the console logs, you will get to know what error you are getting, whether you are facing any issues, everything you can see it. For that one, I'm using tail-f console.log. Now you can enter. If you see here, successfully everything, I don't see any errors as well. Okay, cool. And here you have to remember one thing. If you are not mention any database, default database it will be used. Embedded database will be used. Okay, clear, right? But but in the real time, we always integrate the customized database. I will show you later sometime how do we create that database and how do we define that everything. I will show you later sometime. Okay, clear, right? Fine, super. Now what you have to do, this part is clear. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this one, copy the private IP, and then you can go to here, Google, and then what is the port number? You have to give the 8081. It is automatically redirect to 8082. Now you can enter here. Now, if you see here, I'm trying to access it. I'm trying to access it 8082. It is automatically 80812. It is automatically redirect to 8082. You may ask question, Murli, here we have how it was accessing. The reason in the security group, if you remember, in the security group, we already enabled port number 8081 and also 8082. If you remember 8081 and 8082 10 dot series. Okay, clear, right? Our VPC is 10 series and also our AWS client VPN also 10.22 series. It means everything is under 10 series only, right? That's why here we mentioned that. Okay, that's why you are able to access it. When you give that 8081, it is automatically redirect to 8082 only. Okay, now here it is asking the username. What is the username? Username is admin. Okay, password is password only. Password is password only. Default username is admin. Default password is password only. Just login. Now, if you see here, it is trying to log in. Okay, super. Everything's fine. Now here it is asking that setup first time. Click the get started. And here it is asking that update the password. Okay, now what I'm going to do? I'm going to change the password. Okay. Okay, now you can click the next. Now here, if you want to be set the basic URL, you can do, but we don't require, skip it. And if you want to set up any proxy related, you can do that, but we don't require, keep this one. And then if you want to be create any repository, you can do it here. Remember, when you use the open source, it won't be support the Docker hub related or pushing the emails to JFrog, it won't be support. That's why few of the features it won't be support when you use the open source. Let's take an example. If you see here we can see that Docker related, it is not available. Okay, understand that? Now you can click the next, finish. Okay, clear, right? Any questions now? Any questions? Installation part. No, right? And also if you see here, which version we have installed, here we can see that this is the version we have installed it. And also if you go here in the, go to that repositories, and if you click the repositories, if you have any repository here, we can see that currently we haven't created any repositories. Here you have to remember, there are three types of repositories. One is local repository, remote repository, and virtual repository. But we always use either local or remote repository. We won't use the virtual repository. You can ignore this one. Okay, and then you can users, if you want to be set up any users, you can do that. If you want to set up setting that particular users related configuration, you can do that. And here we can see that users, if you want to be create the users also, we can create here. You can come here and you can create the users, groups, global roles. If you want, you can assign the specific role to the group or users, you can do that. Permissions if you want to do that. And also you can create the access token as well. Remember, this is the one of the most important. In the real time, we always use the access token when you are integrating this particular JFrog to any of the tool. Example, if you are going to integrate with JFrog, right, Jenkins, right, what you have to do, instead of giving that username with password, highly recommend username with the particular token will be defined. And here one more thing, we won't be give our credentials token, access token. We always having the service account. Example, you may have DevOps related user, this particular JFrog, for the particular DevOps related, that is a common, that is we can call it as a service account. Okay, the particular access token only will be defined. You may ask question, why Murli? The reason, let's take example, you are working the organization, okay, and you left the particular organization, your mail ID, everything will be blocked, right? Then it will be impact. That's why we always use the custom service account. This is also one of the most important in interview level. And also here we can see that if you use the open source, it will be support only LDAP configuration. It won't be support any SAML, OAuth, HTTP, Jira. It won't be support. That's why we always in the real time also, we always use either Pro or Pro X, depends on that one. Okay, clear. Now here we can see that settings also. If you want to check the settings as well here, if you want to set up the server name and also the particular base URL also, we can set up. Okay, and proxies, if you want to be configure any proxy yeah, for this particular JFrog, you can do it here. And also here you can see that storage related, mounting the particular storage, how much storage we have. As I said, we have 200 GB, but here it is utilized 5.4 GB. Okay, we have multiple. Where it is exactly storing? That data is storing in the OPT, Artifactory, where data, Artifactory, file store. Okay, here it is storing it. Okay, clear, right? Fine. Any questions now? And also if you want to check the system logs as well, you can check it, but it will take little bit more time to display here. Okay, loading, it will take a lot of time. Okay, and also you can check that Artifactory, and here we can see that if you want to check advanced level everything, you can verify here. Okay, any questions? And also here we can check it, this particular X-ray also distribution. X-ray we won't be use it much. You don't want to worry on that. Distribution also we won't be use it. Okay, in case if you want to be create the edge locations, we can use this particular one. That too very rare cases. We don't much required as well. Okay, clear, right? Any questions now? Installation part clear, right? Now fine. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going here. This part is clear. I can see that logs also, everything looks good. I don't see any errors as well. Fine. Now I can go here, go back little bit. And then here we can see that in the var only, I'm in the var only, right? In the var only, okay, here we have a data, cd data, and then here we can see that you can go here, go to here, storage. Here we can see that var data artifactory. Okay, in the artifactory only the data everything storing. If you give it here ll, here we can see that file store, and you can give the ll command, and here we can see that the particular everything. Remember one thing, if you delete this particular server, this entire data will be deleted, and also configuration, everything will be deleted. That's why what we'll do, right? The particular JFrog related data will be integrate this particular JFrog with DB, any of the DB, but I highly recommend PostgreSQL. Okay, PostgreSQL. So we always in the real time also mostly 99% will be use the PostgreSQL only. Even Artifactory team also suggesting try to use PostgreSQL instead of MySQL, some other DBs. Okay, clear, fine, super. Now you can go here OPT. Here you can go to that Artifactory where, and also I want to show you one thing, and go to the etc. Okay, and then here we can see that system.yaml file. If you see here, system.yaml file we have, right? In the system.yaml file, sorry, in the system.yaml file only we need to configure, in case if you want to configure the customized DB, it means our DB. Okay, now you can go here cat systemctl system.yaml file. Okay, and here we can see that the specific one. As I said, default it will be used embedded Derby. Okay, but if you want to define anything, PostgreSQL, what you have to do, it is currently it is commented. You have to remove this one, and then you have to define your PostgreSQL URL, the particular DB name, everything. You need to define it. Later sometime I will be defined so that you will get some idea how do we do. Okay, clear, right? Any questions now? Fine, super. Now, one of the most important, currently you are accessing using node IP colon port number. Okay, either it is public IP or private IP. Usually I have a client VPN, that's why I'm showcasing the private IP. In the real time also we'll be having the private only, that is app subnets only. But you may practice using public IP colon port number. Remember, when you say like, hey, we have with a particular JFrog URL having a IP address colon port number, they can immediately know, okay, this person is not working in the real time. The reason in real time, we always accessing using DNS name only. Okay, example Artifactory. Okay, .tech1. Okay, we'll be accessing like this, artifactory.techworldwithmurali.in instead of using this particular IP. If you see here, there are two things. This particular IP, instead of accessing IP address, we always go with the DNS name. And also here you can see that it is HTTP. It is insecure. We always go with the HTTPS. Understand, right? Remember, if they ask the question, hey, how do you access your JFrog? You have to tell, hey, we will be accessing JFrog using DNS name. Okay, our active artifactory we have installed in the app subnet. Okay, this DNS name I will show you later sometime, but you have to be remember how we can done this. Okay, you have to be remember how we can access in the real time. Okay, any questions now? Yeah, here we have enable port number and also we have access it. We have successfully installed the JFrog in our Linux server. Later part, I will show you how do we integrate DB and also how do we access JFrog using DNS name. Okay, and here one more thing, remember, I have showcased to create in the app subnets. In case if you haven't created, if you are creating the default subnets, you can go ahead and create in the public subnet, don't worry, but don't tell in interview level. We have installed the JFrog in the public subnet. The reason we won't be creating the public subnet, JFrog is the internal tool, not the external tool. If it is internal tool, why do we require to create in the public subnet? We don't require, right? That's why we always create in the private subnet only. Okay, clear, right? Any questions now? Now we are going to discussing about accessing JFrog using DNS name. Example, artifactory.techworldwithmurali.in. Let's see the demo so that you will get some idea. So earlier we have installed JFrog and also we have configured DB as well. Everything looks good. But in the real time, we won't be access using either public IP or private IP :port number. We always accessing using the DNS name only. How do we set up? For that one, you can go to this TechWorld with Murali DevOps real-time projects bootcamp. And here we can see the JFrog Artifactory. And then here we already written the README file. We can follow and we can set up. Okay, accessing JFrog Artifactory using DNS name. First step, right? What you have to do, you need to create the target group. You need to create the target group. For the target group, we are going to give it JFrog-TZ. TZ is nothing but target group. For that one, you can go to the EC2. Go to the EC2. And here we need to create the target group. What type of target group we need to create? We need to create the application load balancer target group. Okay. Now you can go here, go to the target group, and then here we can create it. Yeah, create a target group. And then here you need to select the instances. That is fine. And then here we need to give the target group name, JFrog-TZ, and whether it is HTTP or HTTPS. Select the HTTP, and then IP address type is IPv4. And then you can come down. Here we can select that VPC is infra-VPC. And then here, most important, you need to define our health check. Remember, depends on your case, where you are going to be attach this particular target group. Whether you want to going to attach this target group for application load balancer or network load balancer. But in our case, we are going to attach for application load balancer. Okay, clear, right? Here we mentioned that HTTP. Later we can in the whether that in the what we can call it. In the load balancer target groups will be create the listeners. There we can mention that both HTTP and HTTPS. Okay, now you can create it. Now here we need to attach your EC2 instance. Here there are two options. One is we can directly attach manually, and also we can attach this target group in the auto scaling group. If auto scaling group increase the work or not, it is automatically attached to this particular target group. But in our case, I am attaching manually. And here, most important, here you need to define that port number is 8082. Here you may ask question, Murali, when we accessing using IP address port number, we used 8081, it is redirect to 8082. Okay, and here we need to add it 8081 or 8082. Here it is enough for 8082. Don't mention that 8081. Okay, now you can click this one, include as a pending, and here we can see that it is attached. Now we can create the target group. Once we create the target group, it is created. Now we can check it. If you see here, target type is instance, and then port number and protocol version, And then here it is showing the total targets, how many healthy, how many unhealthy. And here, if you see here, it is showing that unused one. The reason, once you add this particular EC2 instance in this particular target group, if it is not attached to the load balancer, it will show that unused only. And also here we can see that the target group is not configured to receive traffic from the load balancer. Understand, right? So what you have to do, we need to attach this target group to the load balancer so that it will be route the traffic to this particular target group. And also here we can see that load balancer is not attached, okay, associated. Now what I'm going to do, this part is clear, right? Any questions? Now I'm going to create the load balancer. The load balancer name I'm giving JFrog-ALP. Now you can go here, go to that load balancers. Okay, and then create a load balancer. And here we have a different load balancers, application load balancer, network load balancer. But in our case, I'm going to create the application load balancer. Select this one, create. And then here, most important, first we need to give the load balancer name. Now you can give it fine, JFrog-ALP. Here most thing is schema, whether it is internet facing or internal one. In our case, JFrog is internal, right? So you have to select the internal one. In case if you want to be access everyone, you have to give the internet facing. But JFrog is internal tool. That's why you have to give it internal. Select that one. And here most important, where you are going to create this particular load balancer. We created this in the EC2 in the VPC infra VPC, right? Same thing, load balancer also should be in the infra VPC only. Select this one. And here you have to select the app subnets. If you see here, I have select the app subnets. Remember, JFrog related we have installed in the app subnet, right? And the load balancers also will be creating the app subnets only. If you want to create in the private data subnets also, that is fine, but highly recommend in the app subnets only. Okay, fine. Now you can select this one. Select here app subnets. Now come down, and here most important, we need to create the secret group for load balancer. Now you can click this one, create a secret group. Now here I'm going to give it, what I'm going to give it, here I'm giving ALB JFrog -SG. Okay, ALB JFrog -SG. Just give it here, and here you need to select the infra VPC. And here most important, when you create that application load balancer, if you want to be attached the security group, you can add the two things. One is HTTP, okay, and the second one is HTTPS. Okay, I have added. And here most important in the source side, if you are creating the internet facing load balancer and the particular internet facing application load balancer, if you want to attach this security group, you have to give the 0.0. But in case if you are creating the application load balancer internal facing, then what you have to do, you need to give it your internal CAD range, that is 10.0.0.8. Okay, understand, right? Clear, right? If it is the internet facing, you have to give the 0.0/0. If it is internal, you have to give the 10 series one. Okay, fine. Outbound is fine. You can give it 0.0. That is fine. And here I'm giving that same name ALB-JFrog-SG or JFrog-ALB-SG, whatever. You can give anything. Okay. Now you can give it here. Create a secret group. Now it is created the secret group. Now you can go here, just refresh this one, and then here you can get it your JFrog related secret group. Let's say. Now you can type it here. If you see here, ALB-JFrog, select this one. Now you can come down, and here most important, listeners. Here we need to create the two types of listeners. One is 80 and the second one is HTTPS, that is 443. If you want to be access using secure, you have to give the HTTPS. If you want to be accessing insecure, if you want to be accessing using HTTP, just you need to create the listeners 80. Now here what I'm doing, I'm just mentioning the JFrog one, and then I'm not adding here that HTTPS. Later part we can add it. Okay. Now you can go here, create the load balancer. Okay, super. The next one, what you have to do, if you want to be define that listener HTTPS, you require the SSL certificate. Okay, that is the ACM. For that one, you can go to the ACM. Okay, go to the ACM certificate manager, and then here we can go to the certificate manager, and then here if you see here we already created techworldwithmurali.in, and also subdomain is start.techworldwithmurali.in. Then what you can do, right? This particular certificate will be added when we are creating the listener 443. Okay, when you are creating the listener 443, we need to add the certificate. That certificate ASM is already created. Okay, here we will be attached the particular certificate. If you are not aware, please have a look our certificate ASM concept so that you will get some idea how do we do. Okay, and this particular one we have done through domain verification only. Domain verification means in our case Route 53 we are already having that techworldwithmurali.in public hosted zone. Okay, there we have done that domain verification, and also here we can see that CNAME. If you see here, this is a CNAME related to certificate only. Okay, fine, clear. We have to wait for around 2 to 3 minutes to create this particular load balancer fully. Okay, we can wait for that. Yeah, if you see here, the load balancer is created, and here we can see that load balancer type is application and internal only, and it is active, which VPC, which subnets we have created, when it was created, and everything we have. And also here we can see that we have attached the listener is 80. It is forwarded to this particular target group. Okay, and also if it's yeah, this one, and also if you go here security group, we already attached the specific security group as well. Okay, now what we have to do, once we create the load balancer, highly recommend verify it whether it is fully created or not, and whether it is resolving or not. For that one, just copy this one, go here in the NS lookup. Okay, this is the NS lookup, just to give it this one. Remember, I have opened the NS lookup, or else if you confuse, let me do one thing. I can give it NS lookup, and then you can give the private IP, the particular DNS. If you see here, it is resolving. That is also internal IPs only. And remember one thing, here when you created, during that time you gave that the name is JFrog-ALP. But if you see here in the DNS name, it is automatically append that internal hyphen. Remember, you don't require to give internal hyphen. It is automatically append when you create the internal scheme. Okay, clear, right? Fine, super. This part is clear, right? Then now we are good with this one. Now what I'm going to do, just copy this one, and then here you can go here, just hit this one. You don't require to mention the port number, just you are hitting. Now you are able to access our JFrog one. That is fine. But still, it is insecure, first thing. Second thing is, this particular DNS, load balancer DNS, very difficult to remember. Very difficult to remember. Understand, right? First thing is, it is not secure. Second thing is, very difficult to remember this particular DNS name. Then what you have to do? Now you can copy this particular load balancer DNS name. Now we can go to the Route 53. And here we already created the Route 53. If you see here, this is our Route 53. Okay. Now we can go to the create a route record. And then here just I'm giving Artifactory. Okay. Artifactory. And then here you can select that A record only alias. Remember, if it is in the same AWS account, you can select the A record. And then here you can select that region. And then here it will be displayed drop down. If you see here, remember here it will be add that dual stack. Okay, dot internal one, just give it. And then here we have created Artifactory, just create a record. Okay, super. Now we have created the record. Awesome. Now what you have to do? Now we have created the record. Just copy this one. First, we need to be verify whether it is resolving or not. For that one, you can go here, NS lookup, and then you can give it here. Remember, sometimes, right, once you added this one, it may take 1 minute to resolve. You have to wait for that particular time. Okay, now clear, right? Fine. Now it is resolving. Now what we can do, instead of accessing this particular, what is that? Load balancer DNS name, we can use this particular one. We can remember easily. Okay. Now what I can do, just copy this one. And then here, earlier we were accessing using DNS name. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this particular Route 53 record name. Now if you see here, I'm able to access it. Okay, awesome. Now I'm able to access it using artifactory.techworldwithmurali.in. But still it is not secure. This particular name I'm able to remembering. Anyone can able to remember this particular one, but here it is not secure. Then what you have to do? For that one, we can go to the load balancer. Here you can come down. Here you can go to the listeners. Here we need to create the listener is HTTPS. For application load balancer, if you want to be accessed using securely HTTPS, you need to create the listener, add the listener, and then here we need to create the HTTPS. Select the HTTPS, okay, and then here the port number is 443 only. Now, when you select the HTTPS, here first thing is we need to define your target group. This is our target group. Forward to target group side. This is our target group, and then you can come down little bit. Here, most important, here the particular security policy, you can select that whatever is recommended, that is fine. And here, very most important thing is SSL and TLS server certificate. Here, what you have to do, either you can select your ACM, or we can select from IAM, or if you want, you can import the certificate as well. But in the real time, we always use the from ACM only. Now you can select this one. Now you can define here. If you see here we have defined it. Okay. Now what is happening? We mentioned the techworldwithmurali.in. It means techworldwithmurali.in, start.techworldwithmurali.in we have mentioned during the creation of ACM. It means subdomains also it will be covered the SSL and TLS certificate. Okay. Now you can come down. Now you can go here, add. Now it is added. Okay, super. Now if you see here, it is added. Now I am taking the two duplicates one. Now first one. Now if you see here, now first see here, I have given that artifact the techworldwithmurali.in. Still it is showing the not secure only. Second URL, what I'm giving in the URL only, I'm mentioning that HTTPS. HTTPS. Now if you see here, I gave the extra one. Yeah, if you see here, I have given that artifactory.techworldwithmurali.in. That is the secure one. If you see here, it is showing that secure only. If you see here, the certificate also available and also it is secure. But the thing is, if you remember, here I mentioned that HTTPS manually, then I'm able to see that it is HTTPS more secure only. But the reality, even if someone is hit that HTTP, if you see here, this is our HTTP. If you see here, this is a HTTP. Even someone hit this HTTP, I need to be redirected to HTTPS. Then where we need to add that particular condition. For that one, you can go to the load balancer. Go to the HTTP 80, select this one. Okay. Now you can come here. So here what you have to do in the HTTP 80, okay. Here what you have to do, we need to edit this one, existing one, actions, edit rule. Okay. Here, when you create the HTTP, what is happening? The particular HTTP 80, it is forwarding to target group. But now what you have to do, we need to mention that redirect URL to 443. Remember, redirect URL to 443. Here, what is happening? What is happen? When someone hit this particular HTTP, automatically it will redirect to HTTPS only. It depends on this condition only. Always remember, guys, in the HTTP 80, always we need to mention that redirect URL. Don't mention that forward to target group. If you mention that forward to target group, what is happen? That when someone hit the particular URL with the HTTP, still it is showing that HTTP only. But when you use that, when you mention that inside that listeners 80, if you mention that redirect URL, even though they mention that HTTP URL, it is automatically redirected HTTPS secure only. Okay. So here I'm selecting that redirect URL to HTTPS 443. Okay. Fine. Now you can come down. Now you can save this one and you don't require to change anything. Just save it. Okay. Now you can go here in the load balancer. Go here. If you see here, the 80, it is redirecting to HTTPS. Now, if you go and check it here, just hit this one. Okay, still it is showing, taking that, what is that? What we can call it as? Cache. So if you see here, I'm hitting that HTTP. Now we enter this one. It is automatically redirected to HTTPS. If you see here, currently it is showing that secure only. Okay, clear, right? Any questions? This is the process of setting up and also accessing our JFrog using DNS name instead of IP address. Okay, understand, right? Earlier it is showing that because it is catchy, it took, that's why still it was accessing using HTTP. Now if you see here, it is more secure only. Here also you can check it. What is that company name, the particular common name, everything you can see it here. When this particular certificate will be expired, everything it will be displayed here. Okay, clear, right? Any questions? Now we have created and the record also created and also we are able to access our JFrog using Artifactory using DNS name. And we have successfully access JFrog using DNS name. Okay, any questions now? Yeah, again, I'm repeating. Remember one thing. Don't tell in the intro level we are accessing using public or private IP colon port number. That is the one thing. Second thing is, don't tell we have created the JFrog Artifactory in the public subnets. We always create in the private subnet. It means app or data private subnets only. The reason, JFrog is the internal tool, not the external one. If it is the internal tool, why do we require to enable public? Correct? That's fine. Okay, clear, right? This is the thing. Third thing is, don't tell we are using latest JFrog Artifactory version. In the real time, we won't be using the latest version. We always use the little bit older version. You can tell whatever I have showcased the version, right? You can tell as well. That is fine. Okay, clear, right? Any questions here so far? Okay, any questions here? Fourth thing, don't tell we use that open source JFrog. In the real time, we won't be use the open source. We always use the specific version only. Sorry, specific one. Example, Pro X in Enterprise X or Enterprise Plus, depends on project to project. The reason, if you use the open source, if you remember, I have showcased that one of the thing I have showcased in this JFrog, we don't have option to set up the SSO, SAML SSO, some other thing. And also it won't be allowed to store that Docker images if you go with the open source. That's why we won't be use the open source. Okay, clear, right? These are the things you have to be mandatory. Remember, any questions now? Now we are going to discussing about integrating AWS RDS PostgreSQL with JFrog. Let's see the demo so that we'll get some idea. If you remember, earlier we installed that JFrog and we are able to access it. But as I said, it will be use the default database. But in the real time, we always integrate the customize our own database. For that one, right, what we are going to use it, we are going to use the PostgreSQL. Remember, not only PostgreSQL, it will be support other databases, but still JFrog team recommending try to use PostgreSQL only. Okay, for that one, what I'm going to do, I'm going to here AWS. Sorry, I'm going to create the RDS PostgreSQL. Go here, RDS. Okay. And then here we can create the RDS one. So before going to create that RDS PostgreSQL, first thing remember, you have to create the subnet group and also you have to create the parameter group. Why do we require subnet group? In the particular subnet group, where exactly you need to be create your RDS cluster. For that one, when you create that RDS cluster, you need to define the subnet group. If you are not define the particular RDS cluster, it will be created in the different subnet group. That's why I highly recommend create the subnet group. And one more thing, remember, our databases will be created in the database subnets. That's why here in this subnet group, create a subnet group. And here I'm giving that PostgreSQL. Okay. PostgreSQL. And here you can give it. And here I'm selecting that infra VPC. And then here I'm going to select that available zone. That is 1A and 1B. Okay. And also here, most important, you need to select the subnets. Here I'm going to select the data subnets. And remember, we always, in the real time, we always create in the data subnets only. Okay, that particular database related. Not only AWS RDS, even any of the database, even if you install that database in the standalone servers, EC2 instances also, we'll be creating the data subnets only. Okay, now we have done. And in case, if you are creating that multi-agent DB cluster, you have to choose the 3 available zones with the 3 different subnets. Okay, three subnets in the 3 different available zones. Okay, now we can create this one. Okay, the particular DB created, the subnet group is created. Fine. Now what you have to do, you need to create the parameter group as well. Why do we create the parameter group? In case if you want to be change that on demand, if you want to be change that DB level configuration, you need to choose that customize the parameter group instead of using the default one. If you use the default one, what will happen, right? In case if you want to do any changes in the DB level, you can't. Okay, that's why I highly recommend always go with the parameter groups. That is the customized one. Create a parameter group, and here I'm giving that PostgreSQL parameter group. Okay. Parameter group. Okay. Now I can give it here, and here I'm selecting that. Here most important, which engine you are going to be give it. In our case, we are going to create the PostgreSQL, right? Select the PostgreSQL. And here most important parameter group family. Let me see it. Here we have which version. In our case, we are going to create in the PostgreSQL 14. That's why just select this one, then create it. And here whether it is DB level or cluster level, just create the DB level, create this one. Fine. Now awesome. Now it is created. Now that is fine. And here most important, here we already written the documentation. Here we can see that integrating AWS RDS PostgreSQL. Select this one. And then here I have mentioned, first we are going to create the PostgreSQL 14 or 15. Okay, fine. Now it is created. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create the databases. And here we can see the different engines. But in our case, we need to create the PostgreSQL. Okay. And here we can say PostgreSQL. Okay. And here we can see the Aurora PostgreSQL. And we have a MySQL different things. But in our case, we need to select the PostgreSQL. Now select this one. And then you can come down. And here most important, you need to select the version. But in our case, I'm going to select the 14.16-R1. Okay. Now you can select this one. Okay. Now you can come down whether you want to be set up in the production level or dev level or free tier. But in our case, I just select the production, but here I'm selecting the single DB. I don't want to be create the multiple multi-agent or multi-agent DB instance or DB cluster. We don't require. Okay, single DB is enough for practice purpose. But in the real time, mostly we will be use the multi-agent only, depends on project to project. Okay, and here I'm giving that JFrog. We are creating for JFrog, right? That's why just I have mentioned that JFrog. And then here, most important, username is Postgres, and then password you need to give it. Here there are two options. Whether you want to be store your master password in the secret manager, or if you want to be manage your self-managed one. Now you can select the self-managed one, but in the real time, we always use the secret manager for more secure. But our practice purpose, I have selected the self-managed one. Now what you have to do, we need to give the password. This is the password I'm going to give it. Just copy this one and then you can paste here. Okay, super. Now you can come down and here we have different one. What I'm going to do, I'm going to select this one, T series, and here we can select that lowest one because we are practicing that. This T3.micro is enough, but in the real time depends on our size of that particular JFrog, everything will be choosing. Okay, fine. The load of that particular one, how much CPU required, how much GB required, everything will be decided on demand, depends on requirement in the real time. Okay, and here most important storage type. Here I'm selecting that GP3. Remember, in the real time, mostly any database, any servers, we always go with the GP3. The reason GP3, it will be support both IOPS and throughput as well, and also pricing part also little bit less. Now here I'm giving 20 GB is enough for us practice purpose. Fine. Now you can come down. Now you can see it here, additional storage. If you want to be automatically scaling up to 1000 GB, you can mention it, but depends on project, we'll be choosing this one. Just I have selected, and whether you want to be connect using the particular EC2, if you want, you can select this one. Otherwise, you can leave it. And then here, very most important, where you are going to create. I'm going to create in the VPC. Okay. Once you create this database in the specific VPC, you can't delete it. Okay, fine. And then we already created the subnet group, right? Here we can see that subnet group. And then here most important, whether you want to be creating a public access or private access. But remember, when you are practicing, if you don't have the client VPN, you can create in the public subnets and also public access only. But in our case, I already having the client VPN. That's why I'm going to create in the no public access. I'm not giving. In the real time also, we won't be give the public. Okay, clear, right? Now you can come down, create a new one, and then here I'm giving that. Here I'm giving JFrog RDS PostgreSQL PostgreSQL-SG. Okay, fine. Now here we are creating. It will be enable that specific port number, and then it will be add that my public IP later part we can see. This is our secret group. Okay, fine. And here if you want, you can add the specific certificate. You can choose the default one, that is fine. And you can go to the additional configuration. Remember PostgreSQL port number is 5432. Default port number is 5432 only. Okay. If you want to add, you can add the tags as well. And here, most important, how you are going to be authenticate your database, whether you are going to authenticate using password authentication or password and IAM database authentication or password or Kerberos authentication. But I'm selecting the password authentication only. If you want, you can enable that monitoring as well. Currently, I'm not enabling it, just disable it. And here, if you want to be enable that enhanced monitoring or CloudWatch, you can do that. But currently, we don't require, just disable it. And here, most important, in case if you want to create an initial database, you can define here if you want. Otherwise, you can leave it. If you want, you can create the initial database. But in our case, I'm not defining. Later part, I will show you how do we create the database, that is Artifactory database. Okay, clear, right? And here, most important, if you remember, DB parameter group we already created, right? That is PostgreSQL parameter group. You can select this one. Okay, fine. Now you can come here. Now you can select this one. I don't require to backup, and also you can enable this encryption. That is fine. And then you can come down. Auto minor upgrade depends on project. Will be choose it whether we wanted to do or not. And here, this is the most important deletion protection, especially for DB related. We always recommended to enable this one, because if someone is trying to delete, right, it will be throw the error. First to disable this particular protection, then only you can able to delete it. That is, it will save a little bit for us. Okay, fine. Now you can come down. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create the database. Now it is creating the database. It will take around 10 to 15 minutes to create the database. We can wait for that particular time. Okay, wait for a few seconds. Now, if you see here, it is creating the database. That is fine. Awesome. Now we can wait for a couple of minutes. Okay, now you can go here. Meanwhile, what we'll do, we can go here. This particular step 1 is created. It is going on. Step 2, I'm going to do, I'm going to install the PostgreSQL client. You have to be install the PostgreSQL client. In our case, our server, whatever we have connected, right? This server is Amazon Linux 2023, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to install the PostgreSQL, that particular one, using this DNF command. Remember, Amazon Linux 2023 will be use the DNF. Amazon Linux 2 will be use the M command. Okay, DNF install PostgreSQL 15. We are installing 15 client. So now what you can do, just copy this one, and then you can go ahead and run this particular command. Now you can run it. Now if you see here, it is installing. Okay, let me see, wait for a few seconds. If you see here, everything is going on. Okay, awesome. Now it is completed. Okay, clear, super. Now what is the next one? This part is clear. Now you can go to the documentation. This part is clear. Now what you have to do, we need to connect to the RDS PostgreSQL cluster. For that one, we have to wait for a couple of minutes, this particular one. So once you create, right, we can take that particular endpoint. Using that endpoint, we'll be connect and we'll be create the database, and then we'll be do step-by-step process. Okay, any questions now? No, right? Yeah, if you see here, the endpoint is created and also it is modifying state. It will take a little bit of 1 or 2 minutes. It will be active. Okay. So now what we can do, we can go here in the documentation. Now we need to connect the particular RDS PostgreSQL cluster. For that one, we can use PSQL. We already installed PSQL client. Okay. PSQL -h, and you have to give the endpoint, and then -u, you have to give your username, and the D is database. This is the default database. PostgreSQL is the default database. Now we can log in this one. For that one, you can go here. Now what I'm going to do, PSQL, okay, -h, and then here you have to give it your endpoint, and then hyphen. Here you can say -u, username. What is the username? Username is Postgres, right? Where can we get that particular one? You can go here, go to the configuration, and then you can come down. Yeah, here we can say master is the particular username is this one. Now you can select this one. Okay, now enter. It will be asked the password. But now why it is not asking? The reason, in the security group level, we haven't allowed that the specific port number 10 series. That's why. Now what I can do, you can go here, go to that connectivity security, and then go to the security group here. Okay, here it is just enable my public API. If you see here, select this one, it is loading. Now it is loading. Go to the tags. So not the tags, sorry, details, inbound rules, edit inbound rule. If you see here, it is enable 5432 only my public API. But the thing is, I'm trying to access using my private server, right? Then what you have to do, go to add rule, PostgreSQL. Okay, and then here what I'm giving the 10.0.0/8. I'm giving this particular one. Usually in the real time, we'll be given either if you want to be access only the specific CAD range, just we'll give the 10.70.0.0/16, or if you want, you can give 10.0.0, that is fine. Save this one. Fine. Now you can go here, cancel this. Now enter here. Now it is asking the password. Where can we get the particular password? If you remember, we already mentioned this. This is our password, same password only. When we were creating that database, during that time, we mentioned that same database, same password I'm mentioning here. Enter. Now, if you see here, you have connected. Default, it is a Postgres DB. Okay, understand that? Any questions? Now you can give that /shell. It will be display that all the databases. Here we can say Postgres and also RDS admin. There are different databases available. If you use the /shell, it will be display all the databases. Okay, clear, right? Any questions? Connecting part, I hope clear, right? Fine. Now what you have to do? Now here we have connected. That is fine. Super awesome. Now we need to run this query. What is this query? It will be create the database. The database name is Artifactory with owner. Who is the owner? Artifactory user. This is the user of the particular. This is the user. When you create the database, here we mention that owner is Artifactory user. Okay, encoding that UTF-8 format. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this one. I'm going to run here. Let's see. Now you can run it here. Remember, I'm inside the DB. Just enter. If you see here it is throwing the error. The particular Artifactory user does not exist. Then what you have to do? First, we need to create the Artifactory user. If you see here, create a user, Artifactory user, and with the password. What is the password? Here we mention that this is our password. First, we can create that user and then we can create the database. Now we can enter. Now role is created. Okay, awesome. Now what you have to do? Now you can go ahead and run this particular command again. Step 1. Let's say enter. Now if you see here, database also created. How do we check whether database is created or not? You can give /shell. If you give the /shell, right, it will be displayed here. If you see here, Artifactory, who is the owner? Owner is Artifactory user. Okay, encoding format. Okay, everything it is displaying here. Okay, clear, right? Any questions now? If you see here, everything is displaying here. Awesome. Now we have created the DB as well. Okay, now we need to give the privileges. Okay, grant the all privileges to this particular Artifactory database to Artifactory user. For that one, we need to use grant all privileges on database. That database name is Artifactory to Artifactory user. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this command, run this query, not the command. Okay, run this query. Now enter. Now if you see here, we have granted. Okay, super. Now if you want to be quit, you can quit it. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to quit this particular one. Later part, we need to log in again. Okay, and also I'm checking here. Now what I'm going to do, before going to integrate with the JFrog, here just give that /L. It will be display all the databases. Now you can use /C. It means it will connect. Okay, now you can give the database name. What is the database name? That is the Artifactory. Now if you see here, earlier we were in the Postgres. Now we have switched to Artifactory database. Okay, now here I'm giving /DT. DT is nothing but D is nothing but database. T is nothing but table. Inside the database, we have tables, right? I'm checking. If you see here, when I hit this particular Artifactory /DT, it is showing like did not find any relations. It means currently we don't have any tables available here. Once we integrate with JFrog, it will be display here all the tables. Later sometime I will show you. Okay. Now I'm quit this particular one. Now you can give it /q. It will click quit. Now currently I'm in this particular server. Fine, super. Now what you have to do? We have done that, and also we have created everything's fine. Now, before going to integrate with JFrog, always highly recommend please stop the service. Please stop the service. Just copy this one. Go here. Systemctl stop artifactory dot service. Okay. Now you can enter. Now it will stop our artifactory. Okay. Wait for a few seconds so that it will be stopped. Okay. Now what is the next step? We need to go to this particular OPT directory, artifactory, where it is a system.yaml file. If you remember, I said inside the system.yaml file only, we need to add that our database related one. Okay, clear. Now we have done this one. Okay, awesome. Now I can come here, LL. Now it is stopped it. Just I'm checking the status. Let's say systemctl status. Systemctl status, the particular one. If you see here, everything looks good. It is inactive only. Okay. Now what we have to do? Now you can go to the /opt directory, artifactory, and then here we can see that var directory. Inside the var directory, okay. Now you can go to the etc directory. Sorry, etc directory. Okay. Inside the etc directory, we have a system.yaml file. Okay. Now I'm going to open this one, system.yaml file. Okay. Now enter. Now you can come down little bit. Come down little bit. Here, what you have to do, default, as I said, default, it will use the embedded Derby database. Okay. But if you want, you can define that, integrate with MySQL or Oracle, MS SQL, PostgreSQL, MariaDB. But again, I'm repeating, JFrog team suggesting try to use PostgreSQL instead of remaining one. Okay. Now what you have to do, now you can insert mode. Now what I'm going to do, first I'm enabling this, just remove that hash. Currently it is commented, just remove this one. Okay, just give it here. Remember, inside the database, this is the database, right? Inside the database only we have to be mentioned like this. Okay, now you can come here, remove this. Okay. Here you can remove this, and then here you need to mention that username as well. Same. Define here. Okay. Now you can come here. Fine. Now what you have to do, we need to update our password. What is the password? Now you can go here. We can update our password as well. Now you can come down a little bit. Yeah, this one. This is our password, right? We can define this one. Okay. And what is the username? Username also here. What is the username? This is our username. Artifactory user. Okay. Artifactory user. Understand, right? What I'm saying? Just I'm created and just I'm updating here. Okay. And then you can define here password, username. Okay, super. Now here you need to mention URL. Here you need to define your URL. What is the URL? You need to define our endpoint. What is the endpoint? Now you can go here, remove this everything. Now you can go to that RDS. Okay. Here you can go to the RDS endpoint, copy that one, and then you can paste here. Fine. And then remember, just remove this hash, this one. Greater than. Okay. Remove this one. Okay, super. And what is our database name? Database name is artifact only, right? That is fine. And here type is PostgreSQL. Okay, driver is this particular one. Remember, this particular driver also need to be installed in the lib directory. But in our case, inside the lib directory, default is installed. But if it is not installed, you need to install the driver. PostgreSQL related driver, you have to be installed it. Okay, fine. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this one. Okay. Now we have saved it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to the OPT Artifactory and go to that app and then give it LL command. Give it LL command. Okay. Now here, go to the Artifactory. Okay. Go to the Tomcat. Inside the Tomcat, we have a bin directory, lib directory. Okay. Go to the lib directory and here you can check it. Your PostgreSQL already installed. If you see here, the particular jar file is already there in the lib directory. Okay, that's why you don't require. Okay, fine. Now what you have to do, we need to start and stop, right? You need to start it. Systemctl start. Okay, artifactory.service. Now we can see it. We have updated our DB related one. That is fine. Then what we are going to do now? We are going to be start the particular JFrog. Now it is started. Now let me check it whether it is started or not. Let's see that. systemctl. If you see here, okay, super, it is running state only. Okay, awesome. Now, if you go here, go to that OPT Artifactory where logs. Inside the logs, I'm going to check it in the console.log. Okay, we can check it tail -f. Here it will be display, guys. If any issue, right? Inside that console.log, we can see it. If something happened, we can verify it here. Remember, once you updated, usually not only updating the database, anything, usually to up this particular JFrog, it will take around 2 to 3 minutes. We have to wait for that. If you see here, yeah, everything looks good. Okay, we can check it. Let's say, okay, JFrog. Okay, detector modified. Okay, everything looks good. I don't see any error. You can ignore this JFrog view. Okay, let me check it in the GUI. Let's see, so that we'll get some idea. Now, if you see here, it is loading. Now it will ask username, password. What is the username? Username is admin, and then we need to mention that our password. Okay, now I can go here. Whatever. Now I'm entering password. Oh, just give that password here. Let's see. Okay. Just now we have integrated DB, right? It is not able to find that particular one. Okay, clear, super. Now, very good. We have done that. Remember, I have used username is admin, password is password only, because just now we have integrated DB. Earlier configuration, it is gone because earlier we used different DB, right? Default DB. Okay, fine. Now we have done this one. Any questions here? Okay. Now what you have to do, this part is clear, well and good. Now we can go ahead and check it in this particular storage and everything looks good. We don't see any errors as well. Okay, now what you have to do, we need to know whether really the particular, after configure the database, whether the data storing the particular database or not, or still using the default database. Okay, for that one, what you have to do, you can go ahead and log into the particular one. PSQL. Now, if you see here, we can give control R, it will be reverse, and then you can run the specific command, it will be displayed here. If you see here, PSQL-H, the particular DB endpoint, username Postgres, and then here it is asking the password. Now I'm going to mention that again, password. Okay, fine. Now here you can see it. Okay, enter. Now if you see here, we have logged into the DB, that is a PostgreSQL. Now what you have to do, now you need to check out to, you need to connect to Artifactory database, right? For that one, I'm giving /c, it means connect. Okay, and here I'm giving Artifactory. Okay, Artifactory. Now if you see here, we have switched to Artifactory, and then here we can give it /dt, and then it will be display all the tables related to the particular PostgreSQL. Understand that? After we configure, when you use the /dt, D is nothing but database, T is nothing but tables. Inside the database tables, it will be displayed. Here you can see that everything happened. So understood, right? What I'm saying? What I'm saying here, instead of using in the real time also, instead of using default database, we always use the customized database, but and also JFrog recommended to use the PostgreSQL. That's why we use the PostgreSQL. Okay, clear, right? Any questions? Any questions now? Now you understood how do we integrate, and also we have done that one. We have started and we have accessed our application, and also we have verified everything is available or not. We have successfully integrated our RDS PostgreSQL with JFrog Artifactory. Okay, fine. And here one thing, remember, here we mentioned that directly we are mentioning our JFrog RDS endpoint. But in the real time, instead of defining this RDS endpoint directly, what we will do, we'll be create the Route 53 record. We'll be create the Route 53 record that is CNAME. There will be mentioned that the particular endpoint. How do we do? Let me show you here so that you will get some idea. The reason why we won't be directly define our endpoint in the JFrog, not only JFrog, anywhere, sometimes something happened in this database. If you create a new database, wherever you have hard-coded this particular endpoint, you need to modify it. But if in case, if you create this particular record in that Route 53 poster zone, then just you can come here and you can update. Same thing. Example, I'm going to show you here. Here I'm giving JFrog post, or else you can give JFrog RDS. Okay. And then here you need to select the CNAME. And then here you need to give the not required alias. Just you can go here, just copy this one. Okay. And then you can paste here. And then here I'm mentioning that 1 minute. Remember, record name we mentioned JFrog-RDS, it means it is RDS. CNAME, we mentioned that endpoint. And here we mentioned that TTL is 1 minute. Okay. Now you can create it. Now if you see here, now we have created the JFrog related one. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, just copy this one, JFrog-RDS. Now you can go to that NS lookup. NS lookup, okay. You need to resolve whether it is resolving or not. We can verify it. Okay. Now if you see here, it is resolving. Where it is resolving? Indirectly it is resolving to our RDS only. That's why I highly recommend we can mention. Now what you can do, same thing. Instead of hard coding this one, we can define this particular JFrog-RDS.techworldwithmurali.in in the JFrog, and then we can restart. It will be work. Okay, understand it? Now, in case, again, I'm repeating, in case our RDS cluster something happen, if you want to be rebuild it, just it will be changed this our endpoint, right? Same endpoint will be update here in the Route 53, so that you don't require to update in the multiple locations. Wherever it is used this particular RDS, okay, just we need to restart it. But in case if you directly hard coding this endpoint, you need to be update and then we need to redeploy, restart. It will take, it is lengthy process. That's why I highly recommend we always create the CNAME record here, and then we will be define that CNAME in the configuration. Okay, clear, right? Any questions now? Fine. I hope understand it. Again, I'm repeating, guys. In real time, we always configure the DB, customize DB only. Okay, customize DB only. We always configure, especially for PostgreSQL. Okay, clear. Any questions now? Now we are going to discussing about integrating JFrog with Maven. Let's see the demo so that you will get some idea. So here we have a artifact.techworldwithmurali.in. This is a JFrog we have. And also here we have a DevOps 0 to hero. And here we have a date 12 JFrog Artifactory. And here I have mentioned that integrating JFrog with Maven. Just click this one. And here most important, guys, here most important thing, first we need to be install the Java, Maven, and also JFrog should be up and running. For that one, right, what I'm going to do, here I have created a folder that is JFrog, and here I'm going to open that specific git bash here. Okay, now we can check first Java version, and then we'll be check it Maven, and also JFrog also running, right? Fine. Now I'm checking here first Java --- version. If you see here, Java 17 we have installed. Remember, we are going to build jar file, and we are trying to push to that particular jar file to the Nexus, JFrog Artifactory. So for that one, right, our application is user-registration. This particular user-registration, we required at least 11, Java 11 or 17 version. Okay, 11 or 17 version. Understand, right? So now if you go here and we have installed Java 17, that is fine. And the second one, right, I'm checking here a Maven --- version. Just enter. Let's see that. Maven version, we have installed 3.9.9. That is the latest version we have installed. Usually depends on our applications. We have to be install the specific Maven version. Remember one thing, in real time, we won't be install the latest version. We always install little bit older version. Okay, understood, right? Fine. And here, if you see here, Maven this specific one and this particular Java version, it is using. Okay, clear, right? Now, what is the next one? Artifactory. Here I already showcased. This is our Artifactory, artifact.techworldwithmurali.in. Here we are able to access using DNS name. Okay, super. This steps prerequisites completed. What is the next one? First, we need to clone the repository. I'm going to clone the repository. Okay, for that one, git clone, and then I'm giving the URL. What is the URL? This is our user-registration. I'm going to clone the main branch. Okay, now what I can do, just copy this, copy link address, and then you can go here, and then here I'm giving the git clone, and then you can give your URL. Remember, in case if you want to be clone the specific branch, now you can give it -b, and then you can declare the branch name so that the specific branch only it will clone. Okay, clear, right? Fine. But in our case, I'm going to clone the main branch. Now enter. Now if you see here, it is cloning the repository. You may ask question, Murli, here it is not asking any username and token. The reason, earlier I already provided the username and token. So those details is available in the credentials manager. If you see here, go to the credentials manager. Okay. And go to the Windows. Remember, guys, here you can see that not only GitHub, guys, in case if you integrate GitHub, JFrog related, whatever, right? Everything we can see it in the credentials manager, Windows credentials. Here you have to remember one thing. Example, I have configured very long back. That particular token is expired. So if you are trying to clone, right, you will get that 404 error, 403 error. Then what you have to do, right? 404 or 403 error. Then what you have to do, right? You have to come here, and then you have to remove here, and then you need to configure the new token, username with token. Understand, right? Fine, clear. Now it is clone the repository. Well and good. Now if you go here, LL command, and here you can see that user-registration. This is fine. Now you can go to that user-registration, and here you can see that pom.xml and src. I'm going to show you here, and here you can see the pom.xml. Inside the pom.xml, and it is generating the jar file. If you see here, once we build it, right, it will be generate the jar file. If you remember, in Maven also I have showcased that how do we build and it generate the jar file, right? Same thing here also. Okay, understand, right? Any questions so far? Any questions so far? So now we have cloned the repository. This is fine. And then what I'm going to do, inside the Atom editor, I'm going to open this one. We can use it to modify if we want to modify anything. For that one, I already opened the Atom editor. Now you can go to that file, add project, and then go to the downloads. And then here you can see the JFrog, and here we can see that user-registration. And then you can select here so that here we can, it will be open here. Okay, understand, right? Clear. Now what you have to do, okay, what you have to do before going to integrate with JFrog, right? What you have to do, first we need to create the repositories. If you see here, we need to create the Maven-snapshot repository and also Maven-release repository. We need to create inside the Artifactory. For that one, if you see here, this is our Artifactory. Now you can go here. I already log in with my admin credentials. Now you can go to the settings option, and here you can see that repositories. Go to the repository here, and then here currently it is only one thing. Now I'm going to create it, add repositories, local repository, and then here you need to give it which one. In our case, Maven application, right? Pom.xml is nothing but Maven. Okay, now you can select that Maven, and then here it is expecting the name. What name I'm going to give it? Maven snapshots. Okay, Maven snapshot I'm giving here, and then you can come down, and here if you want, you can select your environment as well. Here we have a dev prod. If you want to be select, you can do that, but we don't require. And the repository layout is Maven 2 only, because we are using Maven 3, right? 2 plus above, it will be Maven 2 default only. Okay. And then in case if you want to be include pattern, if you want to exclude pattern, we can do that. But in real time, we don't require. And if you can give the public description and internal description about this particular repository if you want, and then you can come down here. Most important, guys, we are creating this Maven snapshot for only handling snapshots. If you see here, then what you have to do, usually when you are creating the local repository, the specific Maven related one, it will be handle both releases and Maven snapshots. But in my case, right, I'm going to show you, I want to, this particular Maven snapshot needs to be handled only snapshots only. Okay, now you can just select this one. Now you can create the local repository. If you see here, now it is created the Maven snapshot repository, and also I'm going to create another one, that is Maven releases. This particular Maven releases, it will be support only releases. Now you can go here, add a repository, local repository, and then here select the Maven, and then here you can give the Maven releases, and then you can come down, and here you can see that I'm selecting here handle only Maven handling only releases, not the snapshots. Okay, now you can click the create a local repository. Okay, awesome. Here it is created two things. Now what you have to do, we need to get this particular URL, right? For that one, here you can select the boxes, select this one, go to the Artifactory, go to the artifacts here, and then here we can see that whatever we created there, here we can able to see it here. If you see here snapshot Maven snapshots, right? And here you can see that this is our snapshot URL. Now this particular URL you need to update inside the distribution management. If you see here I have updated. Similar for release also I have updated. If you remember in the Nexus we discussed, right? Same thing for JFrog also, same process only. Only changes is this particular URL and whatever credentials we need to be changed. Okay, first we can do that. What we can do inside the configure pom.xml. Okay, we need to use that Artifactory, JFrog Artifactory. For that one, right? Inside the distribution management, and we have a snapshot repository and release. Repository is nothing but release one. Okay, first we can talk about snapshot repository. Inside the snapshot repository, open close. Here we mention that ID, and then here we are mentioning the specific URL. What is the URL? Snapshot URL. Where can we get this particular one? We can get this particular from this particular one. If you see here, this particular snapshot related one and also release related one, we can get it from here. Okay, now you can go here. This part is clear. And repository is nothing but release URL. We need to mention that repository is nothing but release. For that one, we gave that ID artifact-releases, and then here you can see that URL. What is the specific URL related to release? And then here we mention the distribution management. And here you have to remember, guys, we can create a single Maven snapshot or Maven something name, and then we can declare 4 snapshot or releases. And when we are creating that repository, during that time we can select snapshot and releases handle both. Okay, but just for understanding purpose, I want to show you like we can declare that different. Okay, fine. Now you can come down. And one more thing, 99% in the organization level, we'll be having only snapshot related repositories only. Release we won't be much. Okay, fine. Now what you can do, just copy this one. Now we need to update in the pom.xml. Go here. We already open it here and go to the pom.xml. Come down. Here I'm declaring. Okay, here I'm declaring. If you see here, distribution management, snapshot, ID, URL. You may ask question, Murali, why do we require this ID? And later sometime I will tell you where exactly it will be useful. Okay, now you can save this one. Okay, before going to save it, just what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this command first. Mvn deploy. Just run it, mvn deploy. What mvn deploy will do? First it will be validate, compile, test, package, verify, install, and then deploy is nothing but it will be push that artifacts either in the Nexus or JFrog, whatever we configure. Now if you see here, step by step is going on. Step by step is going on. Okay, test cases it is running, then it will be install. Install means it will be stored that particular jar file in the .m2 directory. Mvn deploy means it will be deployed to either JFrog or Nexus, whatever you configured inside the pom.xml. Currently, I haven't configured. Okay, I haven't configured. Now what error you will see, and then we can configure it. Okay, now if you see here, wait for a few seconds. Why build fail? The reason, right? Here, the particular build, it is expecting, we have integrated with the DB, right? That particular DB should be up and running, but still DB is starting. That's why it is failing. We have to wait for a few seconds. Once DB is up and running, right, available, and then we can deploy, we can run again mvn deploy. Remember, again, I'm repeating, this particular Spring Boot application, user-registration, we integrate with DB. If you remember earlier, I have showcased, right? We integrate with DB, the particular DB it will be using, and then it will be run. Okay, understand, right? Wait for a few seconds so that DB will be run, and then we'll be run again mvn deploy. Clear, right? Now we can see that it is available. Now I'm going to run that again mvn deploy. Okay, mvn deploy. So now what will happen? Again, I'm repeating. It will be validate, compile, test, package, verify, install, and then it will run the mvn deploy. Mvn deploy means what it will do? Tell me. Mvn deploy means it will be store either jar or var ER file to the destination artifactory. Either it is Nexus or JFrog, whatever we configured. Okay. Now if you see here, Springboard package jar file is generated. Okay, fine. Now if you see here, when you do that deploy, it is using the specific 3.1.3 version. And then here we are seeing that failed to execute goal and deployment failed. Repository element was not specified in the form inside the distribution management element. Inside the distribution management, we haven't configured either Nexus or JFrog related details. That's why when you do that Maven deploy, it is throwing the error. Now what we have to do? We need to copy this one. I'm going to copy this one and we can declare inside the pom.xml. If you see here, user registration, inside the pom.xml, I have declared our, what is that? Artifactory related details, snapshot and release. Okay. Now what I'm going to do? I'm going to run this command again, mvn deploy. Earlier we got that you haven't declared that particular JFrog or Nexus related details, but we have defined inside the distribution management. Now we can see that. Remember guys, whatever we are doing, mvn validate, compile, test, package, verify, install, deploy, each one it will use the specific plugin. You may ask question, Murli, here we haven't declared inside the pom.xml. Inside the pom.xml, we haven't declared anything, right? Okay. Inside the pom.xml, we haven't declared anything related to plugin specific version, right? If you're not defined, right, what will happen? It will be use the latest version of the specific plugin. Example, when we saw that deploy related one, it was using that, if you see here install related, it using that 3.1.3 and also deployment 3.1.3 and also install related plugin also, it is using the latest version. But later part, right, I will later sometime, I will be define the specific version, deployment version, so that we will get some idea which version it is using. Okay. Now still build is failure. The reason it is throwing the error, failed to retrieve remote metadata, the specific URL. Now we are getting status code 401 unauthorized. The reason, right? Our JFrog is running. Okay. We need to be authenticated. Just if you define inside the pom.xml that JFrog related one, it won't be work. Now what you have to do? You need to provide the authentication details. For those authentication details will be declared inside the setting.xml. There are two types of setting.xml, guys. One is wherever you install the Maven, there will be defined that inside the setting.xml will be declared that JFrog related username and password. Second option, right, user level. Inside the user level, we'll be having the .m2 directory. There you can create the setting.xml and then you can declare JFrog related one. Again, I'm repeating, one is global level, one is user level. Okay, clear, right? Fine. Now what you have to do, now you can come down and here you can see that we need to configure the Maven to use Artifactory. For that one, if you see here, inside the setting.xml, we are declaring that there are, as I said, right, wherever you install the Maven, there we have a config directory. Inside the config directory, we have a setting.xml. Okay, or wherever specific user, the specific user, we have a .m2 directory. There we have a setting.xml. We can create the setting.xml. We can declare those things. But in our case, right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to declare inside the Maven, wherever we install the Maven, right, there I'm going to declare it. If you see here, Maven, the specific one, I'm going to declare it. Here we have a server, servers, and server. And if you see here, this particular ID, whatever we mention the pom.xml ID, this both should be matched. Then only this particular credentials will be used. This particular username and password, it will be used. Again, I'm repeating this ID inside the setting.xml, inside the server stack, right? We are going to declare ID, this particular ID, both should be matched. Then it will be use this particular URL. It will be authenticated. Similar for release as well. If you see here, ID, artifact-releases, and username and password. Understand, right? Then these are the two things we need to define inside the setting.xml. Now what I'm going to do, we need to first check that where exactly we have installed the Maven in our Windows. Okay, for that one, right, what I'm going to do, here we have an option, right? We can use which Maven. When you give the which space Maven, it will give it where you have installed the Maven. Okay, where you have installed the Maven. If you see here, inside the C drive, Okay, softwares folder, we have a Maven. Inside the Maven, we have a bin directory. Okay, we can go ahead and check it. This is the one option. Just to give the which space Maven, it will give it. Second option, right? You can go to the environment variable. There you can check it. Okay, understand it? Where can we get it? Let me show you that one as well. Go here. Go to this PC. Go to that properties. Okay, and then here you can type it env. Okay, here here you can system level. Just click the system level. Go to the environment variables, and then here you can see the path. Click this in the system variables. System variables means in my system, if we have multiple users can log in, for them also it will be visible. Okay, now here you can select this one, edit this, and here you can see that Maven related one. If you see here you can see the path. Okay, just copy this path, and then you can go here. Okay, now you can close this one as well. We don't require. Now here you can open. Let me do Windows C. And then if you see here you can see that. Okay, softwares Maven. Click this one. Here we have a config file. Inside the config file, we have a setting.xml. Just to open the setting.xml, edit this one. And then here we already define extra day, Nexus part we already defined, right? Now what you have to do? Same thing we need to define for JFrog as well. Just go here, just copy this only server tag. We already having servers tag. Just we need to define only server tag. If you see here, inside the servers tag, just we need to define server tag. Just I'm giving here. If you see here, server ID, that is a artifact is nothing but JFrog one, username admin, password we mentioned this one. Okay, now you can save this one. Okay, now you understood, right? Now what I'm going to do? I'm going to run it again, mvn deploy. Let's see, mvn deploy. Now what will happen? It will store our artifacts. Snapshot repository, it will be stored. The reason here we mentioned that, the specific one, it will be generate that snapshot only, okay? And here you can see that version 0.01, 0.0.1 snapshot, okay? Now here you can see that still it is going on. Any questions now here? Again, I'm repeating same process what we did for Nexus, same thing we did for JFrog as well. Okay, now still it is going on. Okay, super. Now it is, if you see here, JFrog, Spring Boot, everything, and then we deploy, it is going on. It is used the latest version because we haven't declared any inside the pom.xml. That's why. Okay, fine. If you see here, it is going on. Okay, total 63 MB. That's why it is taking a little bit time to push it. Sometimes in real time, we may have 100 MB, 200 MB, 500 MB also. Depends on that one. It will take a little bit time to upload. If you see here, uploading, okay, and the artifact FN snapshot, whatever we mentioned, right? It is using, and then specific URL, it is pushing. Now, how do we access that one? For that one, go to the JFrog and go to the Artifactory, go to the artifacts, and here you can see the snapshot, right? Select the snapshot. And here you can copy this URL, go here, just run it here. Now, if you see here, when you copy and paste here, and click this one, and here still not yet uploaded. Yeah, if you see here, it is uploaded. Now here it is com.murali. The reason, right? The reason inside the pom.xml, if you see here, we mentioned that group ID is com.murali. It means it will become like com/murali. Inside the Murali, we have a artifact ID. If you see here, what is the artifact ID? This is the artifact ID, right? It will be visible here. User-registration. Next one, snapshot. What is the snapshot? It is 0.01, the specific one. Then we can see that jar file and also .pom file also. It is pushed to JFrog Artifactory. Understood, right? Understood, right? Any questions? Now here we define that and we run this particular one. It is running fine. Now here we haven't declared anything. Plugins inside the plugins, we haven't declared anything. Maven deployer plugin. That's why it took latest version, that is 3.11. But now in my case, I wanted to define the specific Maven deploy plugin. Then what you have to do inside this particular plugin, right? Artifact ID version, just copy this one plugin. Okay. Go here, go to the pom.xml, come down here. This one plugin, right? Inside the plugins, just declare this plugin. If you see here, plugin open close. Inside the plugins, we declare. Okay. Now you can save it, Control S. Now we can verify whether it is using or not. Earlier it was using 3.1.3. Now we can check it whether it is using this specific version or not, because inside the pom.xml we declared specific version. It means it should be use this one only. Okay. Now you can go here, run it, mvn deploy. Okay. Sorry. mvn deploy. Enter. Now we can see that. Yeah, it is going on. Wait for a few seconds so that it will be displayed which version Maven deployer version using, so that you will get some idea. Here you have to remember, again I'm repeating, you already might be aware, again I'm repeating, if you are not defined any plugins inside the pom.xml, default it will be use the latest version of that particular plugin from central repository. In Maven, we discussed that central repository is coming from .m to .mt URL, right? So from there it will be fetch. Okay, understand that? Now it is going on. If you see here, install, it is using latest one, but deploy, it is using whatever we mentioned. Whatever we mentioned, it is using, that is 2.8.2 deploy. Understand, right? This is the process of pushing our artifacts to Nexus or JFrog. Process is same only, guys. Whether it is Nexus or whether it is JFrog, the process is same only. Only thing is creation of artifact is different, and defining that server credentials. ID we mentioned that in the Nexus artifacts. In the JFrog we mentioned that artifactory the particular snapshot or release. We mentioned that. Okay, clear, right? Here you have to remember one thing. Usually in the real time, inside the setting.xml, we won't be declare any credentials. First thing. The reason I'm telling, when you integrate with Jenkins, we have a CI/CD tool, that is Jenkins. When you integrate with Jenkins, there will be configure. Again, I'm repeating, there will be configured the Nexus or JFrog related credentials. You don't require to define inside the inside the setting.xml. Setting.xml is optional. Okay. In case if you want to be defined, yes, you can go ahead and define it. That is fine. It won't be cause any issue. But the thing is, the reality in the real time, we always use that CI/CD tool Jenkins to do the automation. But you may ask question, Murli, then why you have showcased this topic? The reason, first you have to be understand how the process will be work. How can you push that particular jar or war file to the Nexus or JFrog manually, so that when you comes to that integrate with the Jenkins, right? During that time, you can easy to set up. You can use it to set up without any doubt. That's why you have to be understand manual process first. Then you can go with automation. Okay, not only this one, guys. Anything. First, try to do the manual process. Understand what are the options it is expecting, where exactly we need to be configured. Once you understood that, then go with the automation. So you can use it to configure. You can use it to do. The reason, right? When you do the automation during that time, you'll get, ideas like, hey, I need to do this one. I need to do this one. I need to do this one, like that. That's right. Okay. Understand that? Any question? Now you have successfully integrated the JFrog with Maven. Now we can see the artifacts in the JFrog as well. Okay. Understand, right? Any questions now? Any questions? Just we can recap what we did. Just we have verified that whether we have installed or not prerequisites, and then we have cloned the repository, and then we have created artifacts in the JFrog, Maven snapshot and releases. Usually one is fine, but just for showcasing purpose, I have created snapshot and release both. And then here we can see that we mentioned inside the distribution management, we have declared this particular snapshot and releases related to JFrog. And then for authentication inside the setting.xml, we declare this particular credentials. And remember, again, I'm repeating this particular ID. Okay, this particular ID doesn't match, then you will get that 403 error, 404 error. Okay, you will get that authentication related error. The reason this ID should be matched. And also whatever you configure the credentials, right? This also should be accessible. That's usually, right, when we create that, default admin and the password we reset, right? During that time, I gave that admin address 250. Same thing I have declared here. Okay. And one more thing, in case any of the organizations, if they mention that inside the setting.xml credentials, we won't be declare our credentials. It means, example, Murli username, password, we won't be declared. The reason, if you left the organization, the credentials won't be work. That is the reason. Okay, it is not recommended. That's why always create the service account. Service account is nothing but common username and password. That the particular common username and password will be used for specific purpose only. Example, integrating with the Nexus or JFrog, like that. Okay, clear, right? Integrate with the Maven, like that. Okay, any questions now? Now we are going to discussing about cleaning up the JFrog Artifactory. Let's see the demo so that you will get some idea. So now our practice is completed. So now we need to be delete everything, right? Clean up everything. Otherwise, right, it will be charged. Then what you have to do, first you can go to that database. And here I'm not deleting this database because this particular database we are going to use for other classes as well. That's why just I'm stopping this particular one. If you stop this particular database, right? Next, if you stop this particular database, next 7 days, it is automatically start again. Okay. Remember one thing. And if you stop this one, it won't be charged except that particular eBase volume, whatever we attached. In our case, we have attached 20 GB, right? The particular 20 GB, it will be charged. Okay. It is going to the stopping state. Fine. Now what you have to do? Go to the EC2. DB is completed. We have deleted. Now we need to delete the EC2 as well. Go here. Go to the instances. So now we can delete this JFrog server. I'm deleting this. Go to the terminate and I'm terminate this one. Okay. Next one, I can go to the target group. You need to delete target group as well. Before going to delete target group, first to delete the load balancer, select the load balancer. And this is our JFrog-ELB is our load balancer. Select this one, delete load balancer, and then you can confirm here. Okay, delete it. Now we have deleted the load balancer. Now I'm going to delete the target group as well. Now select this one, go here, delete. Okay, yes. Now we have deleted, we have stopped the RDS cluster, and also we have deleted the EC2 instance, and also we have deleted the target group and load balancer. And then finally we need to delete our Route 53 records as well. Okay. Go to the Route 53 and then go to the hosted zones here. Select the hosted zone. And then here we need to delete our JFrog related one. Here we have two things. One is JFrog-RDS and JFrog1. Both I am going to delete it. Delete these two. Okay. Any questions now? I hope understand, right? Fine. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn, Instagram, Telegram. And also we have a Tech World with Murali website. In this website, I already publish all the DevOps related courses. DevOps, AWS, Kubernetes, Terraform, AWS networking, Helm, everything. Here we have a 1 month, 6 months, 1 year plans available. If you are planning to enroll, you can enroll there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thanks for watching this video. We'll see you next video.